Hello everyone who is watching today's video. In this special journey, we will go out to sea together, drifting on modern fishing boats of Japanese fishermen, witnessing firsthand the process of fishing on a huge scale, where hundreds of tons of fish are harvested after only a few hours of casting nets. These realistic and vivid images will take you deep into a world of harsh labor, but also full of determination and modern techniques, the world of brave fishermen in the middle of the vast ocean. Not everyone has the opportunity to experience the hardships, dangers and pride in each of their sea trips. And in this video, we not only witness how Japanese fishermen use large purse seine nets to capture entire schools of fish in the middle of the ocean, but also feel the solidarity, good coordination and tireless perseverance of a group that is attached to the ocean like flesh and blood. It is not just a job, it is an indispensable part of their lives. A source of pride, a tradition that has been preserved for generations. Giant fishing boats, equipped with radar systems, fish finders, cranes, and super long purse seines that can cover a large area of the sea, are the main weapons that help them capture each giant catch of fish in the deep ocean, each time the net is cast. It is a process of precise calculation, a perfect coordination between the boat operator, the fish observer, and the entire crew. Once a school of fish is discovered, they immediately deploy the formation. The purse seine is dropped like a wall, quickly enclosing the entire school of fish, not giving them a chance to escape. The nets that are pulled up are not simply fish, they are the sweat, the effort, the hope of the entire sea trip. Each fresh fish is brought up to the deck, sliding down the conveyor belt to the freezer. Workers work tirelessly, classifying, freezing, preserving, all must take place in the fastest time to ensure the highest quality of fish. Meeting export standards to demanding markets such as Europe, the US and especially the Japanese domestic market, where the requirements for freshness and food hygiene and safety are very high. But behind those sweet achievements are countless hardships. Big waves, sudden storms, sleepless nights guarding the nets, hands calloused by the sea wind, times facing imminent danger, all are untold stories behind each catch. Japanese fishermen, with a high sense of discipline, with a relentless will to improve, have turned the fishing industry into a cultural symbol, a pillar economic sector that helps this country have an abundant, high quality and stable source of seafood all year round. Before dawn, each figure quietly left the port, carrying with them hope and experience accumulated from many years at sea. The cold air blew in from the sea, but no one complained. On the deck, everything was thoroughly checked, from the net, the engine, the positioning system to the cold storage. The sea trip began, lasting from several days to weeks, sometimes having to travel hundreds of nautical miles to reach the area where the fish were moving. They relied on modern equipment such as fish-finding radar, sonar reflected from the ocean floor, and some ships were even equipped with artificial intelligence to analyze the movements of the fish. Every day at sea was a race against time and nature. The fish moved quickly and were very unpredictable. The fishermen had to learn to read the sea, looking at each wave, wind direction, and sea temperature to predict where the fish would gather. And when the opportunity came, everyone on board was ready. The operator casts the seine in a large arc. Gradually closing it like a giant bag under the sea. Cheers resound, engines roar, the cables gradually tighten the net. Dozens of tons of fish are trapped with no way out. The scene is spectacular, tens of thousands of silver fish wriggle, swaying with each wave, creating a lively sea of fish like watching a National Geographic documentary. But this is not a movie, this is reality. The labor, the effort of honest people who are attached to the sea day and night. When the fish are pulled onto the deck, everything must happen in order and quickly. Each type of fish is classified by size and species. There are tuna weighing dozens of kilograms, and there are also smaller fish that are placed in specialized boxes. Each box has a full traceability code. Modern preservation technology helps the fish stay as fresh as when they were just caught, even when the ship is still in the middle of the ocean. For Japanese fishermen, technology can never replace human spirit and skill. Although automated systems can assist in pulling nets and monitoring movements, it is the sharp eyes of the fishermen that are the key to success. They are skilled workers who understand every fish school, every tide, and every unusual sound of the ocean. That is an experience that no school can teach, but can only be summed up from decades of drifting at sea. The trip is not always smooth sailing. Sometimes they have to face level 8 and level 9 seas, white rains, and loneliness throughout the journey. But no matter what, no one turns back, because they understand that after each trip is the life, the livelihood of the whole family, the pride of an entire coastal community. Every time the ship returns to port, hundreds of tons of fish are unloaded amid joyful cheers. The fishing port becomes bustling like a festival. Refrigerated trucks line up, and fish purchasing agents from all over Japan and even abroad are present. After being distributed, the fish will be transported to supermarkets, restaurants, and processing plants to become high-end dishes such as sashimi, sushi, or high-end frozen products for export. Each fish caught from the sea becomes a high-value commodity, contributing to the national economy, creating jobs for thousands of workers not only in the fishing grounds but also in the logistics and processing chain. Talking about the Japanese fishing industry is talking about an entire culture. The headscarves of fishermen, the sound of drums cheering each time the ship leaves port, or the rituals praying for safety before each trip all show respect for nature and faith in ancestors. Fishermen not only consider the sea a place to make a living, but also a sacred place, a companion that needs to be respected and appreciated. Therefore, they always fish in a controlled manner, strictly complying with regulations on marine environmental protection, minimum harvest size, and fishing areas to maintain sustainable fishery resources for future generations. Many fishing villages in Japan have formed self-governing fishermen's associations, which monitor seasonal fishing and share fish output fairly, avoiding overfishing. Thanks to that, Japan's purse-seine fishing industry is growing stronger. Large fishing vessel companies invest millions of dollars to upgrade vessels, nets, refrigeration systems, and train human resources. Young fishermen are taught about machine control, digital technology, and supply chain management. These innovations do not erode traditional values, but on the contrary, help the Japanese fishing industry enter a new phase, more modern, more efficient, and more unique. Standing on the deck of the ship, looking out at the vast horizon with no shore in sight, the fishermen feel the smallness of humans in front of the vastness of nature. But it is in that vastness that they find strength that comes from perseverance, from rigorous training, and from the close relationship between humans and the sea. They do not conquer the ocean by force, but by understanding and harmony. Each sea trip is a war without gunfire, fighting the weather. The erratic ocean currents, the invisible pressures when the ship drifts in a place with no support. Only the sky and the water. On the ship, each person has a job. No one is allowed to slack off for a moment. There is someone in charge of observing the signal from the fish-finding radar. Someone controlling the crane to lower the net. Someone in charge of operating the water pump system to maintain pressure in the fish tanks. Each stage requires a harmonious coordination. Like a musical ensemble, in which every member must clearly understand their role. Skilled netters can calculate the time to drop the net in just a few seconds based on the reflection of light under the water. One wrong move and the whole batch of fish will escape. Therefore, absolute precision is required. When the net closes, the fish are herded to a point in the middle of the circle. The hydraulic lifting devices start working. A large area of seawater bubbles white as dozens of tons of fish struggle in the net. Each batch of fish is sucked through a high-pressure water pump system to be brought to the receiving compartment. At this time, the workers are dressed from head to toe, wearing gloves and rubber boots, their eyes glued to the conveyor belt, ready to classify immediately. Everything must be done quickly to avoid suffocation and loss of freshness. There are times when there are so many fish that the system has to stop for a few minutes to regulate. Avoiding overload. That's when people realize the enormous scale of a large purse-seine haul. Not a few hundred kilos or a few tons, but hundreds of tons of fish, enough to supply both the domestic and export markets. After the preliminary processing, the fish are transferred directly to the deep cold storage, where the temperature is always kept stable at -40 degrees Celsius. This technology helps the fish to stay fresh for many days without the need for preservatives. Some high-value fish such as ocean tuna are also cooled with liquid nitrogen solution. almost instantly frozen, to preserve the color, meat structure and highest nutritional value. The highest quality fish will then be stamped with traceability, classified by level ABC, and transferred to famous fish markets such as Tsukiji or Toyosu in Tokyo, where each fish can be auctioned for up to thousands of USD. Even tens of thousands of USD for bluefin tuna. In addition to its economic value, purse seine fishing also plays a key role in the culture and society of many coastal areas of Japan. Fishing villages that have existed for hundreds of years still maintain their traditional features thanks to the sea industry. During summer festivals, people often reenact ancient fishing scenes with wooden boats, festival drums, and ritual offerings to the sea god. This shows the sustainable relationship between humans and nature, not only for exploitation but also for gratitude and preservation. Not just a simple occupation. Fishing is also a linked value chain that extends from exploitation, processing, packaging, transportation, distribution and consumption. Thousands of people work in packaging factories, seafood shipping companies, quality control centers, and fish sample analysis laboratories to ensure there are no heavy metal residues or harmful microorganisms. Each stage is closely monitored by a strict legal system and strict international standards. This is what has helped Japan maintain its position as the world's leading country in exporting high-quality seafood. In recent years, despite facing many challenges such as climate change, marine pollution, and declining fishery resources, Japanese fishermen have persisted in staying at sea and proactively changing their fishing methods to adapt. Modern fleets have been invested in additional wastewater treatment systems, reducing fuel consumption, using solar energy and wind power on board to reduce CO2 emissions. In addition, fishery resource regeneration programs such as fish seed release, spawning ground protection, and seasonal fishing bans have also been widely implemented. Thanks to that, many fishing grounds that have been in decline have now recovered, and fishermen can fish sustainably again. With a long-term vision, the Japanese government not only provides technical and capital support to fishermen, but also invests in educating the younger generation. More and more secondary and tertiary schools specializing in fisheries are opening, training a new generation of qualified fishermen who know how to combine tradition and modern technology. Young people no longer leave the sea like before, but instead return to the fishing village with new knowledge, ready to continue their ancestors' career. To preserve a valuable traditional profession. During the fishing process, the most important thing is not only the amount of fish caught, but also ensuring absolute safety for the entire crew. On the high seas, even a sudden big wave can cause a serious accident. Therefore, the ship always has a weather warning system that continuously updates information from satellite monitoring stations. If a tropical depression or storm is detected moving near the fishing grounds, The captain will immediately move the ship to a safe area or return to port if necessary. Decades of experience at sea help them make quick and accurate decisions to ensure that each trip out to sea is a safe return. Every day on the ship is operated like a precise machine. Wake up at 4 a.m. to prepare. Have breakfast at 5 a.m. Start casting the net at 6 a.m. At 11 a.m., the boat turns around to collect nets and process fish. In the evening, everyone eats, cleans the boat, and maintains the machinery. Although the schedule repeats itself every day, no one gets bored, because every day is a new challenge, a new sea, a new catch, and everyone feels like an important part of that giant machine. In the middle of the vast ocean, with no phone signal, no internet, there is only camaraderie, the sound of the engine, the sea breeze and the laughter of the resilient men. Sometimes, during the fishing process, they encounter rare marine creatures. Sometimes it is a school of whales swimming across the ship. Sometimes it is sharks caught in the net. In such cases, fishermen must be very careful not to harm rare animals. If they discover whales or sea turtles caught in the net, they immediately use specialized equipment to rescue them and release them back into the ocean. This not only demonstrates the moral responsibility of those working in the sea, but also is a strict regulation in the Japanese fisheries industry to protect biodiversity and the marine environment. After each fishing trip, the ship returns to port in a bustling atmosphere. From afar, you can see a long line of refrigerated trucks waiting at the wharf. When the ship docks, hydraulic cranes quickly bring containers containing tons of fish ashore. Each box of fish, still cold, neatly arranged, is taken straight to the processing plant right at the port.